And if you ever catch me at a networking event, I will talk to you about AI until the cows come home. So today we're going to be chatting specifically about how you can use AI for your business, for SEO, and for marketing, and really how to grow your business, save time, and really take the most advantage of the technology that's out there. Real quick agenda, what we're going to cover in today's session. Just a minute about Eternity, kind of a top level of who we are and what we do. A sort of 30,000-foot view of SEO, and then the majority of the presentation is really going to be more about AI, what it is, what ChatGPT is, and real-world examples of prompts that you can use. We'll be going over what those prompts are to really get the most out of it for your marketing, for your website, for your social media, for your day-to-day activities, and then most importantly, how you can leave this presentation and my dog and pony show here to really take advantage of using it in your day-to-day work. So like I said, kind of at the top, really my two primary goals are to introduce you to AI and specifically a tool called ChatGPT, and then all these things to save you time. It's one of the number one resources that you can't really get more of, no matter how much money you have. Real quick on me, it's my much better half, Molly, there, and myself. I'm a proud husband, father, and Lego nerd, artificial intelligence super fan, and I'm always designing something. And I used to say that I suffer with ADHD and OCD, and I've tried to shift that mindset to thrive. Real quick on Eternity, our main focus is website design, development, and digital marketing. But surprise, surprise, over the past couple of years, we've been really diving deep into artificial intelligence and trying to show our clients and our prospects how they can take advantage of that themselves. We've been in business for about 24 years now, and pun intended, hope to be around here for eternity. Quick snapshot of our crew there. All right, I'd like to start things off with a light note. Jeff probably already knows the answer to this question, but feel free to unmute yourself or pop in a comment of where you think the best place to hide a dead body may be. And like I said, feel free to unmute and yell out an answer if you have one. Second page of Google is indeed the correct answer. And funny enough, and that's because no one really goes there, so it's the best place to hide that body. Funny enough, that's going to change quite a bit as time goes on, because the search engine results are going to be much more filled with AI results, and our own websites and organic results and even ads will start to get pushed down and not really be pages anymore. But you want to be on the top no matter what, and we're going to go over some techniques of how you can do that today. And that's really because about 95% of traffic goes to those results that are on page one, and a majority of that in those top 3 links. So if you're not in there, you are invisible to many folks. Some quick housekeeping. At the end of this presentation, you can text me for a direct copy of it. I'll have a quick little text code you can send to me. You are not signed up for a single spam list. So Eagle Scout promise, you're not going to get inundated with spam of any kind. You'll hear from me once. I'll send you a copy of the presentation and a bunch of really great tips and tricks you can use for ChatGPT. And feel free to interrupt me during the presentation. I've got some scheduled kind of breaks in between slides to ask for questions. But if you have a question, feel free to pop it into the chat window or unmute, and I will hop right into it. I'd like to start things off with just kind of getting a quick temperature check. If anybody wants to share like what their biggest current online struggle is, whether it's with AI or kind of keeping up with technology. Anybody want to share like a pain point or a story that they wish they had a magical wand to fix?
Keeping up with technology with a younger and younger audience.
Fair. It's a very good point. It seems to be that even myself, I feel like I can keep up with things, but every single day there's something new. you can use AI to kind of keep up to date on that. And I'll try and have some time to go over a little bit of that in the presentation. Doc Elizabeth said getting seen. Yeah, so brand awareness and kind of trying to get through the noise that's in there. That's always a struggle. Creating creative content. See from Rachel. Very much. So these are all like super common pain points that I hear a lot in my presentations, and AI can help with just about all of those. All right, so just a very 30,000-foot view of what SEO is. That's the dictionary description really there that I don't need to read off verbatim. In its most kind of simplistic terms, it's updating your website and your online presence to get on page 1 in Google. Or Bing. Bing, I never thought would really make a comeback, but they're making a comeback pretty hard in the AI field at the moment. At the end of the day, we want somebody to search for us, and we want to be found, ideally on that page 1 of Google. And there are hundreds of factors that kind of account for if your website shows up there that we won't be going into all of those today. But some of the top level ones are having engaging and up-to-date and optimized site content on your website, and just a very good user experience throughout for your navigation, for the structure of your site. And we'll be going over some prompts today that you can use to accomplish that. Any questions so far on just kind of like top level SEO and things of that nature before we hop in? Okay. All right. What is AI? So we all have been using AI for the past, probably 10 plus years now with Alexa, Siri, OK Google, Google Maps. You hop into your car and it knows that you're like automatically going to be going back home from work. So it pops in your home address based off of all these patterns. We've used it all like day to day, autocomplete on our phone, even though sometimes you might want to actually not say, I'm ducking pissed at this. It can work to our benefit, but sometimes to our detriment. But I think what's changed quite a bit in the past 1 to 2 years is this new type of AI that's called generative AI. Basically, an artificial intelligence that can come up with new content and be creative and mimic exactly your tone of voice. So it's the whole next level to, I think, the AI that we've been used to in the past. Does anybody want to share an experience with AI, whether it's like with ChatGPT or Bard or Bing or Siri or any of the fun names, and like kind of how they either liked using it or how it didn't work the way they anticipated?
I used it to help me get started working on a resume.
Oh, nice. And how did you use that, if you don't mind me asking, like specifically?
Well, I asked it like a general term of like what a particular like marketing resume would look like, and it helped me get an outline started and get the thought process going.
Awesome. That's really cool. Yeah, I've also heard of folks, because you can do this with it as well, feed in the entire job description of a job you're applying for, and then have it update your resume and your cover letter to specifically like pull key phrases and words out of there, which I think is kind of fascinating and scary at the same time. Anybody else want to share a story? Let's see, Eddie. My company uses it for email marketing and blog posts. We are starting to understand how to best use it for social copy. Awesome, that's fantastic. A majority of the presentation will be specifically around those exact things. So hopefully you'll get a little golden nugget there. And Maggie used it a lot personally, but never for marketing in my organization. Definitely would like to hear about how to best use it. Awesome. All right, well, we'll buckle up. You're going to get some pretty cool stuff here. Is this when Skynet takes over, Mike? Is a common question that I've been asked, and something that I ponder myself. Like, when is this going to just sort of uprise and take over? I don't think we're there at the Terminator level just yet. And I say yet, but it is something that I think, want to keep an eye on and potentially regulate in some fashion. I think it's a long ways out there before it starts taking over every single aspect of our day-to-day lives, but it's again something I think we should all keep a keen eye on as a human civilization. Any other questions? Okay. All right, now we're going to pop into talking about some top level stuff of ChatGPT before we get into the meat and potatoes here. So again, dictionary description there of what GPT is in like human understandable words. It's a large language model, basically a whole bunch of word content. GPT has been trained on everything that we have said and published and is on the internet, inside books. So it's in essence training it on how to predict and be human-like. I think one of the most interesting things about it is it doesn't actually know or understand anything. So as an example, if you ask it to be like a marketing expert in the restaurant industry and to write a blog post about organic and sustainable food practices, it has no idea what any of that means. But it's a large language model and it just predicts what the next word will most likely be based off of all of its previous training and content. So I find that fascinating that kind of the lights are on, but nobody's home up there, at the moment. It's not like sentient or self-aware yet, that it's just trained on lots and lots of text. And ChatGPT has been our first time as an easy chat-based experience where we can just ask it questions and get an answer without having to have like a PhD in coding. Some top level things about ChatGPT: it remembers what you said inside a conversation, so you can have a very long-winded conversation with it and ask it for like a quick follow-up or refinement, and you can make corrections to things. They're constantly trying to course correct it to not do evil things or people that are asking it things that are inappropriate. So I think that is good to keep it on the rails. Just like humans, it can mess up. When it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it can also be quite bad. But humans can be the same way. It's also very biased because guess what? We all are, and it's been trained on all of us. They are trying to work on ways to continue to kind of refine that, but that can be an outcome of it. And I have this crossed out here because as of like a month or so ago in presentations, ChatGPT was only trained on information up to the year 2021. So if you asked it for information on something that happened in 2022 or this year or last week, it would just hallucinate, aka make up complete nonsense of what it thinks would be the next best word that you'd want to see. With the paid $20 a month version of ChatGPT, that I'll be kind of getting into in a moment, it opens up doors to be able to access the internet live, which is just one step closer to Skynet now, and ask it questions about something that happened last year, last week, a minute ago, which is pretty exciting. You can ask it all sorts of questions in this kind of chat-based interface that's here. It keeps a history of all your conversations, like I said, and you just start typing. And if you don't like the response, you can click the regenerate button to get a different answer over and over and over again, which I think is a really neat and fascinating thing. So I preface this with I am not affiliated with ChatGPT or the company that owns them called OpenAI in any way. I don't get a cutback. I don't have stock in them. So my recommendation to get this $20 a month version is purely based off of it's going to change your life. So if you're using the free version, which is the kind of the base version that they launched with, it's really kind of a highly limited version in what you can do with it. Its output is typically pretty generic. You can't train it very easily on your own content. It also doesn't have access to the internet. With the paid version, you get unlimited access to it, tons of plugins, live access to search engines. So you can say, hey, go take a look at this website or do some research for me and give me actual sourced information so I can fact check it. So pretty cool. If you take one thing out of this presentation, upgrade and get the $20 a month version. It's month to month. You can cancel it if you don't like it after 30 days. One thing of note, if you do go and upgrade that today, there's an area inside your settings. You have to go and turn on that ability to browse the web and to have access to some of these plugins that I'll be going over today. So just one thing of note, it won't be on automatically. You have to go in and kind of turn that on. And then once you do turn it on, you'll get two options: the free version that you're using potentially now, the GPT-3, and then the paid version, GPT-4, with access to all sorts of plugins, from being able to like upload a PDF and ask it questions, to generating like a song list for you, to surfing websites, and a whole bunch of other things that we'll be going over today. Any questions on that element of things?
So yesterday I was on another brief presentation that recommended using Jasper. Are you familiar with that? And why do you prefer ChatGPT if you do?
Yeah, it's a great question. So yeah, so we actually use Jasper and GPT in kind of in parallel, and I'll be going over a little bit of that in the presentation. In short, GPT has access to a lot more updated models and plugins, where Jasper is really built, it's another AI tool, is built for like long form content creation and a lot of kind of pre-built prompts. So you don't need to write stuff whole cloth. You can like click a button and it's got a pre-made prompt for like making a social post and things like that. But I will be going over a little bit about Jasper in this presentation as well. All right, prompts. So again, dictionary definition there. Human definition is a prompt is basically you typing, a human typing to ChatGPT. And just like with anything, like garbage in, garbage out. So the better the prompt, the longer the prompt sometimes, the more detailed the prompt that you give it, the better output that you will get. All right, we're gonna pop into some fun stuff now. So one of our clients gave us some permission to use them as basically like a guinea pig for this lease over at Vermont Pub and Brewery. And we're in the process of working with them on rebuilding their website, their social media, and a couple of other things. So this is kind of an example of how you could use it. Just some kind of quick information on them. They're obviously a pub and brewery in Burlington, Vermont, 14-barrel brewery. We got a full food menu, and they're Vermont's first brew pub. And one of the first kind of prompt examples, there's so many things you can do with ChatGPT, but one of the first examples that you can use in this paid version of ChatGPT is being able to give it access to a website. So if you have an existing website that you like the tone and the writing style on, and it really kind of has your voice already built inside there, and you want to prompt ChatGPT to basically go through that entire website, you can ask it, I want you to be a brand persona analyst and review the following website, determine the best user personas, and it will navigate through the entire website, look at all the food items, look at the history, and it will come up with some examples of particular personas, or kind of an example of a person that might be someone to frequent there that you can use to train the content that you create. So it came up with a handful of potential personas here. One of them in particular that we liked the most was like this social butterfly, like a 20 to 40 something person named Emma. So we're going to use that person to train and kind of go through some more information. So you can then say, make a table of user personas from above and include some more top level information. And it'll go through and break down the different types of personas here, like a craft beer enthusiast, AKA Ben, or that social butterfly like Emma, and give examples of like age, demographic, their marital status, their pain points, things of that nature. These shouldn't necessarily be used to supplant like traditional research and like persona creation, but some folks are not like highly trained on doing that or can pay an agency to do it. And it can give you a starting point to refine it, you know, as is. So it gives you some really great information to start with. Then you can go just keep kind of going deeper. This is all in the same exact conversation, like the same chat session with ChatGPT. And you can ask it to create a really deep dive persona for this Emma. And it'll start going into like personality, interests, lifestyle, behavior patterns, like how often they like going out to eat, what social medias they use, what they like doing in their free time, their goals. It's just like a gold mine of information that, again, it might not be perfect. You might want to copy and paste it and tweak it a little bit, but you can use it to feed the content that you then create down the road to target that specific person, instead of like writing a social post to target somebody that wants to come to a brew pub, and you'll just get very generic stuff compared to this. This is just kind of a quick plug to SEMrush. It's another tool that we use a lot in-house for digital marketing, but they have this great free, we don't have to pay for it, persona template that you can take a lot of the output from ChatGPT and then kind of copy and paste it into this reference document, if you will, and then it just has it in a much more user-friendly fashion. You can use that for the future and call it out of ChatGPT to say target Emma or whoever you're trying to target there. Any questions on that sort of brand persona building style of things before we go into other prompts? All right. Next, keyword planning. So again, this shouldn't necessarily like supplant other traditional kind of SEO practices, but this is all in that same conversation. You might find it weird that I say thanks in some of my prompts, since this is not like a self-aware sentient being on the other end. But when the AI kind of overlords do uprise, hopefully they'll review the ChatGPT logs and see that I was nice to it and maybe let me live to be a slave instead of instantly killing me. That being said, I say thanks. Please create a list of clustered SEO-friendly keywords that could be used to target this persona. And it will go through and create this nice kind of categorized based listing of potential keywords and phrases that you could then use for your SEO optimization, for blog content ideas. Kind of the sky is the limit, but like hyper targeted to that particular persona. And again, all in the same conversation. This is just like farther and farther kind of down the rabbit hole. Here we go. You can say list the 10 most important questions that this person may have. A common strategy for writing content that will rank well and engage folks is answering a common question that they may be typing into Google. So it goes through here and comes up with a bunch of top 10 questions there, but they were kind of super specific to folks that might have been asking questions about Vermont Pub and Brewery. So because you can just refine it infinitely, you can then say, sweet, but can you now also come up with 10 more not specific questions about Vermont Pub and Brewery? And it goes through and comes up with some more generalized, or like, what are unique or must-try dishes in Burlington? What are top-rated restaurants in Burlington for a foodie? These could all then be turned into blog posts or social media content that guides people towards Pub and Brewery. This is a long one. So create a final table for this persona, include age, occupation, location, personality, interests, lifestyle, pain points, motivations, keywords, questions. So a whole bunch of stuff there. But if you give it that very specific prompt and tell it to put it inside a table, it will start getting into a bit more detail inside there and just other ways that you can organize and output the content to pull and kind of feed more of that stuff into ChatGPT. Any questions on that side for kind of the SEO and keyword planning side?
I'll own that I haven't used ChatGPT yet. So I saw all that data coming out on your brand personas and yada, yada. I mean, are you able to like just, transfer that as some sort of document into your, or print it out, or how do you, or, extract it from that source?
Yeah, so you can take it and either it doesn't have like a very elegant way to get at the some of the data inside there, but it's all free selectable text, so you can copy and paste what you want into like a Word document or a spreadsheet. ChatGPT also has an export all data, so you can export every single conversation you've ever had and download it locally to your computer. And then you can keep it for future prompts. So if you want to ask it to do something in the future, you can have it in like a scratch pad or like a notepad on your computer to kind of copy and paste back in and say, use this persona information to make me a social post. All right, now we're going to dive into blog writing. So again, all on the same exact conversation here. You can say, using the above data, come up with 5 potential blog post topics. So it'll go through and give some example titles, as well as like a quick sort of teaser of what that blog content could be about. And if you don't like what it outputs with those 5, you can say generate 5 more, or you could say generate 500 more, and just, wait a minute, and it'll come up with a whole bunch of ideas. So it's an excellent like ideation tool. One of my like least favorite things to do is just be staring at a white, empty, barren page. Like, where do I start? Where do I begin? So while you wouldn't want to use a lot of these tools to just copy and paste the exact output of a blog, or even the title, it's like having an infinite kind of sidekick at your fingertips. I liked the blog post topic number 5 there, the discovering local flavors, a spotlight on Vermont's farm to table movement at Vermont Pub and Brewery. So I asked it to come up with an SEO optimized blog for that. So it came up with like the keywords that blog would be targeted for, the SEO meta description, as well as like an introduction, some headings, and content. Again, this isn't going to be like a publishable ready blog post to copy and paste into your site. There could be things that are slightly not accurate. And you also may want to add in some of your own flair to it. But again, it's like an ideation tool. It might be like a 50% ready draft that you can then use your human brain to take it to the finish line. Heather, have your hand raised there?
Can you also ask it about kind of changing the cadence or the tone? Like, please make this more assertive, more aggressive.
Yes. Yeah. My quick answer to like every question in AI mostly is like, yes. So anything that you can ask a human to do, you can ask it in the conversation, and you can get as sort of broad as like make it assertive or make it more playful. Or you can say, make it in the tone of voice of Ryan Reynolds, and it'll be like snarky and super sarcastic. So it has access to all that information, transcripts of whatever any actor has said in like any movie. So it'll knows like how to replicate that in a very scary fashion. Any other questions on kind of blog post creation there? All right. Okay, so next, show a little bit of, Dr. Elizabeth brought up Jasper. So Jasper is another tool. We don't have time to go like fully down that rabbit hole, but if you get the copy of the presentation at the end, it has links to all this within it. Jasper is another tool. It's really built well for long form content creation, blog writing, optimization. So kind of real quick on Jasper, I took that draft blog post from ChatGPT, pasted it into Jasper's content writer, and then I wanted to optimize it if somebody was typing in like pub and brewery with locally sourced food, as a search term. And what Jasper does is it looks at what pages already rank on Google, the top 10 that are on Google, and it comes back with how many words those blog posts were, how many headings, how many paragraphs, how many images, what keywords they used and how many. and it gives you this little scale, a grade here out of 100. And as you add in different keywords, headings, more characters and words within it, you can watch that get closer to 100. However, you don't always need to get to 100. That can feel like chasing a carrot. It's pretty small here, but it tells you the average grade of the ones that are on page number 1. That average grade is 66. So as long as you got to something like between like 66 and like a 70 or so, you could have a chance of ranking on page 1 for that particular topic without having to get to like 100, every single time. If you can get to 100, awesome, but you don't necessarily need to. Jasper is another paid tool. I think it starts at about $50 a month now. They've been changing their pricing quite a bit. But even if you add all these things up, it's like having like a near infinitely usable marketing department at your fingertips for like, under $100 a month. Any questions on that Jasper tool there for blog optimization?
So Jasper wasn't actually amending your document in any way or your blog post. It was just giving you information that you can choose to put into it.
In that like quick example, yes. However, if you see like in this kind of example here, there's a compose button. You can have it create, and I might have done it like towards the end of this like screen grab, but you can have it write 2 more paragraphs and it'll look at the context of everything else. If you're like, I want more than just 1 paragraph there, you can say compose. Yeah, there's like the quick example. And it just starts writing where you left off. You can also highlight a paragraph and say, make this more assertive, highlight another paragraph and say, put in 5 bullet points instead of a paragraph, and completely keep like updating it with inside here. So we use ChatGPT and Jasper a lot in conjunction because they're different. I wouldn't say one is like better than the other. They're different.
Thank you.
Of course. All right, I'm going to pop into how you can use this for social media.
Hey, Mike, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, of course, please.
On the slide, you had Jasper with Surfer.
Mm-hmm.
Was the icon? Maybe I missed that part. Those are 2 independent plugins or apps?
Yes.
They just work in conjunction? Okay.
Yeah, so Surfer is another plugin. It is, I think it's like $20 a month as well. It gives you the ability to have this grading tool built within it. So yeah, thank you for bringing that up. I forgot that all these kind of add up, like I said, but still, I know it may sound weird, cheaper than paying us to do it, and you can do a lot of it in-house. All right, so social media, again, kind of another long-winded prompt here. And again, being very positive to the AI. Great work. I'm using the blog post above. Now create a table for social posts for Facebook, Instagram, including hashtags, 3 posts per week, and categorize it by topic. And it will go through and output a table of examples of the blog posts, the day of the week, if you tell it, the hashtags to use. And I know I'll sound like a broken record here. Don't take these and just copy and paste them into your social media as is. You're going to want to tweak them, refine them, but it can give you infinite ideas of ways to say the same thing in a different way over time. And just like a starting point, I think I myself struggle with this, just coming up with feeding the social machine that it is can be a hassle. And this is a great way to get that started, and then have hashtags that are specific to that particular post, so you can get as much organic reach out of it as possible. Yes, Heather.
Sorry, man. Anyway, with the hashtags, so am I be finding them? I guess my question is, when we think of kind of like quantitative and qualitative results, so maybe they're showing me 50 results for hashtags, but qualitatively, like, how do I know the ones they're showing me are the ones that are most commonly used, that will get me the most reach, and not just ones that are topic specific?
Yeah, that's a very good question. So because it's like a large language model, it's basically just looking at like millions of blog posts and what were commonalities in those topics. for those hashtags. So you could luck out and kind of get a popular hashtags because people are using it over and over and over again on it. But in any kind of like social planning, you likely would want to take some of those hashtags, pop them into the social media software or other tools where you can see like how many people are following that trending hashtag to make sure it's like giving you the most bang for your buck and not just like a generic hashtag that has nobody following it. Does that help answer that?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, awesome. Any questions about that? Again, kind of very quick with lots of different prompts here, but on like social media creation and ideation. Right. And then we're going to pop into Google Ads here. So like with all these, it's not going to give you like a perfect thing out of the box, but this is all inside the same conversation with ChatGPT. So it's prompted on all this information. Another long-winded prompt there. But these are specific things that Google Ads, if you're writing Google Ads, you're going to need headlines, descriptions, call to actions, site links, things like that, kind of feed the machine that is Google Ads. And it gives you, again, a whole bunch of different ways to say the same thing. With modern Google Ads, it asks for lots of different versions of things to get the most bang for your buck. So you can use this to come up with different ways, again, to say the same thing, all within like the tone of voice and mentioning the company and specific things if you've fed it with all of that information. And you can go a level deeper and say, please create a target audience for Google display ads. So that example previously was for text ads, like at google.com, but maybe you want to start a display campaign, and you can ask it to come up with some display banners and provide everything I would need to input into the Google Ad Manager, because it knows how Google Ads works and all the different fields you need to type in. It gives you a starting point of like the keywords, the placements, the topics, the audiences that you might want to select to try and match that particular persona, even like a recommendation of a bidding strategy, examples of ad content and kind of why to do particular things. I think one of the niftiest things about AI is you can use it to just kind of get like a quick answer, but you can also ask it to explain that answer and teach you at the same time. So it's like having like a digital marketing department and a tutor like at the same time. And then a level deeper, just because it's my favorite saying, awesome sauce, now give me ideas for 3 different display banner designs for Google Ads. And this will go through and doesn't create the visual inside ChatGPT yet, but it gives you the example of what kind of visual to use. So you might know what image to select for your banner, potentially the text to use for that banner, and what kind of call to action button you might want to use, all trying to target that particular demographic. So you're not just starting with an empty canvas. Any questions on the Google Ads side of things and how you can use AI for that?
Mike, I have another quick
Yes.
question that's not specific to Google Ads, but when you are asking it to maintain a certain tone of voice or alter its tone of voice,
Yep.
will it continue to do that after you've asked for that, after you prompted it to do so, as
Yep.
throughout the whole thread? You don't have to do it every time it generates a response?
Correct. In that thread, so the moment you say it, for the rest of that thread, you can tell it to pretend to be a particular actor, and it will respond just like that person for the rest of the prompts. Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Email marketing. So you can also use this to come up with ideas for how to get awareness about that blog post or topic in MailChimp. So you can ask it to come up with some examples for subject lines for that campaign in MailChimp. And then once you've selected one, you can say, great, pick, email blast number 6. and come up with the entire email blast. So it'll go through and come up with the email blast, even suggest a photo to use for that particular section of that email blast, and a call to action for like a little button below each announcement. And again, it might not be perfect and copy and pastable, but might get you 80% there in this example to write your email post and save you an hour for the day. And because that kind of came out with a sort of a somewhat long-winded one, or if it comes out with one too short, you can do vice versa. You can say something like, that's great, but humans have the attention span of a rock. So make it shorter and easier to digest quickly, but still be welcoming. And it will just make it a little bit more concise and to the point. So that's one of my favorite things to do, is just come up with lots of different output styles with the same messaging. Any questions on that for the email marketing side of things? Right. All right, review management. Quick raise of hands. Who enjoys getting up in the morning before they have their cup of coffee and responding to reviews for their business? Any raise of hands, anybody? Yeah, not me. I mean, it's even though we're humbled to have all positive reviews, it can be difficult to come up with like different ways to say the same, like, thank you for choosing us, thank you for coming in. So you can feed ChatGPT a Google review, a Facebook review, heaven forbid a Yelp review. I don't know what's happened to Yelp over the years, but anyways. And you can feed that review and say, respond to the following Google review with a very short, informal, and human response. And it looked at that review from Kyle and responded back to Kyle. He really loved the poutine there, and their flight of beer. So it says like, our poutine sent its love. It even has just like a little bit of a kind of a funny human-like response to it that I think is just scary and cool at the same time. And if you don't like that one, you can say, give me 10 other versions of it and pick the one that you like and paste it into Google Ads or Facebook or wherever that review might be. Any questions on that for review management? Okay. All right, so that was a little bit of a lot of different things that you can do with ChatGPT, and that's really kind of the tip of the iceberg. I'd like to showcase off all those things to try and open up people's minds of, you can use it for more than just like your meal planning or personal or personal use. So my recommendation today is, if you've never used ChatGPT, please go sign up for the paid version, like out the gate. Don't even use the free version. Go get the $20 a month version. It's amazing. And if you want to get access to some of these prompts that we've used in today's session, but also dozens more, and every like article, research paper, training videos that we have used internally over the past 2 years, we're not a fan of gatekeeping, so we just like give it all away. You can scan this QR code with your phone, or if you get the presentation at the end, you can go to the link, and we're constantly adding new ideas, prompts, resources to stay up to date on the ever-changing world of AI. And then lastly, this is just kind of like a fun thing. Has anybody used Photoshop beta yet? It came out about 3 weeks ago. Awesome. Eddie said he has used it. So it is, if you've used Photoshop before, at the surface, it's just Photoshop. But it also has this new feature inside of it called generative AI that allows you to select an area of a photo and say, remove this person, and like that person's gone, or add a hat on there, or expand this photo. So this example today is kind of more of just like a funny one and not necessarily like a total use case one, but this is the source photo. So the photographer that took this, I love. So I know he's going to be fine with me probably poking fun at some of these things. But in this particular photo, in this example, I wanted to get rid of sort of the person here in the forefront that was blurry. So in the new Photoshop generative AI, all you have to do is just highlight that person with the lasso tool and say, remove that person. And then that person is then gone and filled in with, maybe not like 100% perfect with like the wrinkle of the shirt there in the chair. But if you weren't knowing to look for it, you probably wouldn't notice that that person was removed and everything else was replaced. You can then do other things, and you may not notice it right off the bat, but the person that used to be in the background there is now gone. Just to kind of quickly go back, that person there with the hat, that person is now gone. And if you want to have like the loneliest bartender in the world, you can just remove everyone, and then it attempts to replace things in the background and go from there. And it's not perfect. Again, like if you're knowing to look for it, you might see things that are odd. And this is just kind of a random example. But my favorite thing to say is for both ChatGPT and this new kind of generative AI for Photoshop, it's the dumbest it will ever be today. So tomorrow, it's just going to be exponentially better. Next month, next year, exponentially better. So it's kind of fascinating that this is the beta and this is how good it is. And we kind of joke internally that we feel like clients just thought we always could do this, just magically select something and type in, remove that person, they're gone. That used to take quite a bit of time to do. And now it takes seconds. More practical uses of this are if you had a portrait style photo and you wanted it to fill in on the left and right to make it more landscape, it is amazing at filling that in. So if you're a photographer and you want to do some quick editing, or your photographer sends you a bunch of portrait stuff and you want landscape stuff for a hero image, fantastic at doing that. Some contact information there. If you want to reach out to me, ask me any questions, you can follow me on those social channels there at Mike Lannon, my direct phone number there. And if you want a copy of the presentation today and all of its prompts, again, promise you're not signed up to any kind of email lists. Just text the word Skynet to 802-865-2000, and I'll send you a copy of the presentation and answer any other geeky AI questions that you might have. And that is all I've gotten. A little bit more time for some final questions if anybody has any.
Sorry, I keep chiming in, Mike. I definitely
worries.
have a question for you. Oh, and actually, it looks like Maggie had asked back with the customer reviews. You can do the same thing with negative reviews, right? Doesn't matter if the review is positive or negative. You
You
use
definitely
it.
can. And you can. One of my favorite things to do with for emails as well. Like occasionally, I might get an email where I instinctually might want to answer in a how dare you ask that way. You can type out exactly what you wanted to truly say, just to maybe draft it and get it out, copy and paste it in and say, accomplish these same goals and sentiments, but in a much more human-friendly way or a much more positive vibe. And you can say, give me 10 versions of it and then paste it in. And it's great for that type of stuff as well.
Nice. My question was in regards to Google Ads. I'm particularly curious about what the future, in your mind, what your perception of the future is like in terms of advertising opportunities with ChatGPT. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, Hello Burlington is very much embedded in the travel space, and it's been really interesting to see how many people are having generative AI tools generate travel itineraries for them. As to whether they're legitimately pursuing those or not, who knows? But it has occurred to us, like, how long will it be before we're looking to do paid advertising with ChatGPT as opposed to Google Ads?
Yeah, I think any day now. Yeah, so Google's slowly rolling this out already inside search results. Like we won't all be seeing this, but slowly but surely we'll be seeing an AI answer to our question that we type into Google above ads and above organic and everything else. So everything else is going to just kind of get further pushed down. I think it's only a matter of time until you say, you pop into Google, say, I'm planning a trip to San Francisco for 5 days. I'm a foodie, but I'm gluten-free. And it'll give you an AI response, but within that generative response, there will be like some product placement style kind of text links of recommendations to a particular restaurant or hospitality venue because of people that have paid for ads to come up within that generated response. I think my opinion is that's where everything is headed, and there'll still be Google ads and product ads. Photos are going to be crazily important to have optimized on your website. I think AI is going to also just replace a lot of traditionally boring things that you do inside Google ads, and you can put a lot more focus on the creative and the human aspect of it as things continue to just become more and more automated.
Mike, last week I read an amusing article about the lawyer who got in trouble for asking ChatGPT for precedents on a case he was working on,
Yeah.
and it fabricated like
Sure
8
did.
different precedents.
Yep.
I feel reassured listening to you say, you know, it will provide 50% and then you like go through it. But and I can see how ChatGPT is good for social media marketing and that kind of stuff. But where was I going with this?
Like trusting the output.
Yes,
I guess.
yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So my like kind of quick response is like trust the output as much as you would trust an intern. And like I can't believe that like a lawyer they have one job, right? So if they were to hire like a paralegal to do it, they would obviously want to go through and make sure all those things existed or they didn't cite the wrong source or the right precedent. The same thing. So I think because the news circuit wants to get more stuff inside the news, they put a focus on that, not in any way defending this lawyer. But you need to proof and fact check things. As the model gets continually trained, like the more we use it, everything that we put into it by default, everything that you type in there, every question you ask it, every bit of content of yours that you paste in, OpenAI reserves the right when you click that little checkbox of like, I agree in that EULA agreement. They reserve the right to take all that information and put it back into the training of their model. So the more we use it, the better it gets. And now that it has access to the internet, it can source things. It can still hallucinate though and make up like a pretend source. So if it says found this on this website in a little footnote for the source like it does now, folks should still go read that source and make sure it didn't make something up there. But it has gotten easier at being able to fact check things that it outputs, because it can very, very confidently lie, I guess I would say.
And that brought up kind of a second question. I'm a career coach, and a lot of what I'm reading for career coaching is like, oh, have ChatGPT, you know, input a person's resume and the job description and have it optimize their resume based on the job description, that kind of stuff. And part of me is thinking, all right, now John Smith's resume is now out there in the universe, you know, maybe in places where John Smith doesn't want his resume. I mean, does ChatGPT, I think they own it now, right? If they do something, like if they
So if you know, this example of John Smith puts his information inside there, it doesn't get like published or pushed out to any other sources, but they'll use it to train the model on like, this is what a resume looks like. So then if somebody asks for a good resume for like a marketing consultant, it'll look at all these millions of people that have pasted in their resume and kind of assimilate stuff from it. But it could pull out something that looks strikingly similar to John Smith's work history that kind of gets popped in there and hallucinates.
Okay, yeah.
Awesome. I
Well,
think we
thank you.
are just
Been
about
good.
at time, but if anybody maybe has like one last final question, then we probably should wrap up, right, Jeff?
Yep, we're in no big hurry, but if there aren't any more questions, we can close it out. But
Awesome.
don't let me cut
I'm
it off.
also not in a hurry. I'll talk for I'll answer questions for until you tell me to get the heck out of here.
All right, it sounds like we're good. Just checking the chat. Yeah, great. Well, Mike, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Really, really appreciate it. And everybody, but I'm not going to leave this up for 30 more seconds. If you want to do a quick screen grab on Mike's contact information to get the deck from him and any more information, please do so now. And thanks everybody for joining us.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks very much, Mike. That was great.
You're very welcome.
We had Kim from Bellingham, Washington on the call. Well,
Indeed.
that's as far as our reach has gone. Huh. Okay. All right. Well, Mike, I'll close this out. Thanks a ton. I
Alrighty.
really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And if anybody reaches out to us about this deck or anything, I'll let you know, pass on their contact info. Okay.
Sounds good. Appreciate it. Take it easy.
Okay. Take care. Thanks.